and he punches the guy right in the face. I mean, BAM! Hi, I'm Zane with Zane Engineers Life. So it's Friday story time, and I'm running the engineering company, and we're working on this massive set of railings for a customer for this really high-end condo complex down in Naples, Florida. Well, we've done all the designs and built the models and worked out the details. And the client calls us one day and says, hey, I'm super short-staffed. And he asks, hey, could we fly down and take the actual field dimensions ourselves? You know, to make sure that the layout of the railings, make sure everything's going to fit where it's supposed to go when everything's built and finished. Well, at that point, we took any work we could get, so we said, yeah, sure, we can do that. So we pulled together a decent set of drawings and came up with a naming convention based on the directions and face or elevation of the building and what floor they were on and all this stuff. So like a Bell N43L was a Bell style railing that was on the north elevation on the fourth floor and third from the left when you were looking from the outside. See, we made a key and a map and put all of this stuff together. Well, the client was blown away with all the organization we had put into this. And once we were done with our on-site, we had gotten all the field dimensions in like half the time it normally took his crew. And he looked at our data and it was super clear and detailed and made a lot of sense. So he asks if he can hire me to help with the next phase of the project. See, he wants me to go down and work with his superintendent on the project and talk through their methods and the things that we had used, and then help them set up to have a super successful install of like 800 railings on 6 different buildings of a bunch of different floors with 22 different elevations. So again, money is money, so we said sure. Well, I go down and we get on site and we start talking. And first I asked the dude, hey, how would you lay this out and how would you do the job? And where's your laydown yard going to be? And how would you move things around? And what order would you go in for installation? How are you going to want to load the trailer, front to back or back to front? How do you want to label things so that you can see it from the side that you grab it and the way that you're loading it? You know, all real obvious things for an engineer. Well, at one point I mentioned how it would probably be smart that since he was going to be outside in July in Florida while they were doing this installation, that he probably needed to set up his install order so that he was always working on the shady side of the building. You know, one side of the building in the morning, one in the evening, and then probably in between the buildings during midday. Well, he looked at me like I had just invented water. And then it hit me. Wow, this isn't obvious to other people. See, I'd grown up in construction and I'd been an engineer. And so getting design and the real world and not being stupid to work all at once was just something I did. And what hit me was I had just made as much money literally telling someone the obvious, like work in the shade in the summer in Florida, just as much as we had doing and toiling over all the designs and models and calculations for the railings. And that was when I knew consulting was really for me. See, as an engineer, you can make a whole career out of keeping people from just being stupid. Anyway, so today's story, and real quick, like and subscribe. I promise it'll be worth it. If not, just unsubscribe afterwards. Okay, so during the on-site work, we were cutting through one of the buildings, and we were up near the penthouse, and we rounded this corner, and not far away was the little balcony suite area. And it was one of these 4 mega penthouse, super high dollar condos in the complex. And there's this dude there, and he has this big concrete saw. And he's a pretty big dude, and he's decked out. He's got his steel toes and his jeans. He's got his high visibility vest. He's got a hairnet, a bandana. He's got a hard hat. He's got on safety glasses. He's got on a face shield. He's got his hearing protection. I mean, he's really decked out in PPE, right? And it's like 2 p.m. in the afternoon, so it's like only 145 degrees because, you know, it's Florida. And it's only like 103% humidity. And well, he's there and he has this massive concrete saw and there's all these cords running from it. And then there's this second dude who's pulling the cords out of the way and making sure that no one walks into the area that this guy is working. Well, suddenly all hell breaks loose. And the saw kicks on and dude is holding it up and he's making this vertical cut on some big CMU columns. And the saw is super loud, dude. I mean, like really, really loud. And as the cutting blade starts to hit the CMU, and I'm telling you, man, this was like the damnedest thing I've ever seen. This cloud of smoke starts to billow, and it begins to radiate and grow and grow and grow. And there's so much dust. I mean, like, you ever been in a car and you like drive into the fog, or you're in a plane that poof and you're in a cloud? Well, I mean, I swear, dude, you could see this cloud of dust from space. I mean, there's so much dust, and it's spraying and pouring out as this guy's cutting into the CMU. Okay, did I mention there's a really large dust cloud? Well, anyway, the second helper guy, he starts yelling, and we're looking at each other, and the helper guy is yelling, and well, the saw dude, he's just disappeared into a cloud of dust. And you know what? It wouldn't matter anyway, because the saw was so freaking loud that helper dude could have been setting off fireworks, and there's no way the saw guy would have ever heard it. Well, finally, helper dude gets the bright idea to start shaking the cords. And eventually, I guess the saw guy felt it, and the saw cuts off. Well, like a minute later, the dust cloud is starting to dissipate. And the saw dude, he's standing there, and he's holding this heavy-ass saw, and he's completely covered in dust. And he raises his face shield, and he takes off his safety glasses, and it's like one of those cartoon characters, you know, with the huge blast. And now there's just like bare skin sticking around his eyes. Well, this dude's sweating his ass off, and he's holding this huge saw, and he probably just had a couple of dump trucks of dust blast into his face. Well, the helper dude has walked up to him, and he raises his hand, and he offers the guy this tiny little cloth dust mask. Well, a few seconds go by, and we're literally just glued to what's going on here. Well, sweaty, dust-covered saw dude looks at him, and he looks at the dust mask, and he shifts his feet a little, and he takes this super heavy saw, and he sets it down on the ground, and he stands back up, and he punches the guy right in the face. I mean, BAM! So, moral of the story. As an engineer, you can get paid to tell people obvious stuff and not be stupid. And if your bro is totally getting hosed with a dust cloud that you can see from space, there's really no reason to be a smartass. I'm Zane with Zane Engineers Life, and we'll make you better.